Hi, my name is Jeremy Alexander Newsome. I am the CEO of reallifetrading.com, and you are listening to EA Interviews.
EA Interviews, episode 362.
Inspiration, transformation, success stories, and the imperfect action round. 7 days a week. Join Mario Ficini for today's Expert Authority Effect interview.
Expert Authority World, I have a question for you about money. What are you doing with it? Because you can have a successful business, you can have your profit margins, you can be doing all these different things. You probably got the marketing ironed out. Everything's going good. You're making profit as you should, but what do you do with it? How do you invest it? We're going to learn all this more when I bring up Jerremy Alexander right after we thank our sponsor. Every business needs a book, including yours. And that's why I'm launching my new book to help you regardless of where you think your current writing abilities are. Visit eapublishingmethodbook.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's eapublishingmethodbook.com. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Jerremy Alexander Newsome. Jerremy, how are you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling fantastic, brother. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm excited to have you here because, like I was saying in the beginning, there's so many people that they have the profit, they have the money, but what do they do with it? I mean, you can have a successful business and be making profit as you should, but how, do you put it over here? Do you put it into here? I mean, how did you get started in it, and at what age?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. And you're absolutely right. There's a book called Profit First. I think it's a revolutionary idea in the sense of you got to make profit, you got to pay yourself eventually, and you have to buy assets. That's how you become financially independent or very successful financially or extremely wealthy, whatever your definition of success might be, at least in the financial realm. The way I got started, man, is going to go all the way back to a movie, 1994, Oscar-winning film for Best Actor, Tom Hanks, in the movie Forrest Gump. And about 80% of the way through the movie, your boy Forrest Gump is recounting his life. And as you might remember, he went to his mailbox, opened a letter, and said that Lieutenant Dan invested into a fruit company, and they no longer had to worry about money ever again. Well, I grew up very, very poor in the southern part of Georgia, the state of Georgia in the United States. And man, my family was very blessed, very happy. We lived a great life, but we were very, very poor. Didn't know it, but we always worried about money. I thought it'd be so cool not to worry about money anymore. So I asked my dad, like, that was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase, man. Like, we don't have to worry about money anymore. Like, my ears had never heard that because at the time I was 6. So in the summer of 1994, I asked my dad, what's investing? What's the fruit company? He told me all about Apple computers. He told me how investing works. He told me how the stock market works, to his limited experience and limited knowledge at the time. So I begged him to invest in shares of Apple. I said, hey man, do exactly what Forrest Gump did. And, like most dads or most individuals, like, dude, this is a movie, bro. Like, this is a fictional character. It doesn't work this way. I begged him. And he eventually said he'd match me dollar for dollar. So I went and I picked blackberries and I sold them door to door, and I raised $1,500 in the summer of 1994 at 6 years old. And he matched true to his word. So we bought 3,000 US dollars worth of Apple back in 1994. And that was my very first investment. Right now, those shares are worth about $32 million. I sold them about $31.9 million ago. But it was still a very good learning experience, and it was phenomenal to get that foray into trading, into investing, and to understand that you don't need to be the smartest person in the world, right? I was 6. You don't need to be the richest person in the world. I mean, I was probably one of the poorest, and it's not about your resources. It's about your resourcefulness. Most of your listeners have already kind of made it there, and they might have a limiting belief that they don't know enough to invest in the stock market. They don't have all the time. They don't, this is not their career. So they can't possibly read all the news, watch all the articles, be everywhere to learn and know how to invest properly.
Wow. What an inspiring story, and at what a great age too, because there's a lot of people, I started my first company at 12, and I was doing stuff here and there probably a little bit before that. I wasn't 6 though. I was drawing a lot at that age, but people have always asked, they're like, what is the right age to start someone? Well, it's not high school, because you're kind of knowing what you want to do at that point. And I don't even want to put a limiter on it, but I love that I now have a 6-year-old reference point. I mean, I've seen people on Shark Tank at 8 and 9, and I'm like, what took me so long?
Right.
But you know what I mean? It's like when you're around that, and good for you for having that desire, because, yeah, if you never hear nothing, you know, there's people that have all the resources in the world, growing up, everything. They just don't care, and they're just whatever. I give more credit to you because it's like you didn't have any of that. That's the first time you heard it, and you ran with it. And that was not a pun for Forrest Gump either.
It was a good. It would have been a good one though. You would have pulled it off so well.
You know what I mean, though? It's like you took that little crumb and you turned it into this feast, and you're like, I'm gonna run with it. Maybe not across America, but you ran with it, and that was supposed to be a joke. But if you've never heard it in your life, it's why I love doing the show and connecting with people in public speaking, because there's people who flat out just don't hear of things and they don't believe it's possible because they don't know anything different. I don't fault anyone for that. Now, if you've heard it and multiple times and you're still choosing not to do something, that's on you. But how did you take that little seed when you were 6 and go, okay, let's turn it into this next thing, into this next thing, into this next thing, and tell us about your company you're the CEO of.
It eventually had to build, man. Like the premise of the acorn, right? Small little thing turns into a giant tree.
Yeah, build your oak.
It's a process. Exactly. And most individuals, we overestimate what we'll do in a year, but we underestimate what we'll do in a decade. So for me at the time, it was really just the innocence and the optimism and the zealousness of a child without having any fears or failures at the time. I was like, well, why not? Anyone can go invest in it. Forrest Gump did it. We can do it. So growing up, I was always an entrepreneurial salesman. I always loved to exchange and provide individuals with things that provided value to them. And I went into college. I tried to get a finance degree at the University of Florida. Go Gators. And the degree I thought would teach me what the stock market is, how the stock market works, how people can invest in it. But not only invest in it, create cash flow from it. Because I knew it was possible, right? I had done it. I had taken a $3,000 investment and quadrupled it over the course of a few years and sold it. And my dad gave me $12,000 as a 12-year-old. And that was all I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I knew that you could take the stock market and take a cash flow perspective. So I got a finance degree, and as you likely know, they did not teach me anything about the stock market, day trading, options, Forex, commodities, futures. That wasn't covered.
What did they teach you? Like if someone is thinking about sending their kids into finance and this and that, or what do they teach you?
So boring. A lot of accounting, a lot of mortgage amortizations, a lot of bonds, a lot of really weird finance math, like discounted cash flow. And if you have this amount of money and it grows at 2% a year, how much will you have in 50 years? And what would you rather take that money over 2 years, the amount of money now? Just a lot of random
So basically
things.
Stuff that you would get a job for and be doing for a company.
Yes, precisely. And most of my friends who went through that with me, brother, they're right now working at investment banks. And all they're doing, all across the world, but they're sitting down and they're taking the numbers from a company and they're writing out the numbers and they're giving pro formas and they're sending it off to potential investors who could, invest in the stock. I teach people how to do that in seconds by looking at something visually with their eyes, making their own informed decisions, taking advantage of what they see in front of them, and either making cash flow, making a proper investment, or just learning how to calculate it using second grade math rather than the extremely complex formulas that people try to pass down as needed in order to make money in the markets.
And what I like about what you're saying and what I'm hearing is you teach people to be the investor.
Yes. Yep. So that's the name of my company, is Real Life Trading. We're a global brand. I say global. We have Real Life Trading Australia, India, Denmark, and we work with traders from all around the world, really helping them understand and be their own investor, because no one's going to care more about your money than you do. And having a knowledge base and an understanding that anyone can do it, regardless of their age, location, sex, religion, or gender, you have the appropriate opportunity to truly be an investor and to take advantage of incredible opportunities and incredible moves. For example, man, Tesla in the last 3 months is up over 75%. Right? Just the last 3 months. 75%.
Why do you think that is?
I know exactly why it is, because the earnings are phenomenal and their demand continues to increase because more and more people are beginning to get exposed to the product. The competition for Tesla is so erratically infinitesimal that anyone who drives a Tesla and experiences the technology, the ease, the access, the simplicity, and really the low cost, because a lot of people think that Teslas are crazy, crazy expensive. They're not. You can get a Tesla for the exact same price you get like a Honda Accord, but now you don't have any gas, you don't have any oil, you don't have any maintenance, right? It's a software download. So if you need to upgrade and change your vehicle, you download a software. The whole vehicle has 6 moving parts. So it's an extremely revolutionary product that honestly, man, has no competition at all right now, like not even close. And it's amazing. So people keep buying them, right? The Model 3, the Model S, and the Model Y, and the Model X, I think, are all 4 of the top most selling vehicles in numerous additional countries.
Yeah, it's amazing to see what Elon's done with the innovation, not just that industry, but multiple industries, but also the marketing, promotion, the PR, everything. Because I remember, it's been a minute, but I remember when I was working with Lexus at the auto show when I was modeling full time, and they were just talking about, this is before Tesla, and they were talking about EV cars in the future, this and that. And it's like no one got it right until they did, and then they gave all the answers away, basically.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, oh, we're coming out with our thing. It's like you're about a decade and a half behind, and they gave you the answers.
Precisely, man. No, you're spot on, brother. You're spot on. And a lot of people say, well, I've missed the boat. It's too early. They haven't even come out with the Semi yet. Right? Like that hasn't even hit the market. So if you're thinking you're early, they haven't even launched the truck yet. This is early. And the reason I'm bringing it up, man, is because it gives people an opportunity to be an owner and not just a consumer. That's one of the main things I teach in investing is if you use the product, own shares of that product if you can. A crazy example. In 2014, if you had bought a Model S, it would have cost about $70,000, right? US. If you took that $7,000 and instead of buying the car, you leased the car or you made monthly payments, right? And that you didn't pay for it in cash up front. And you took that money and bought shares. Your shares would be worth over $18 million. Like, let that sink in, people. That's investing. And that doesn't mean that you have to be the smartest person in the room.
So there's some compound interest going in there?
There is some compound interest because Tesla did have a 1-for-5 split. So whatever shares you ended up buying, you multiplied all those shares times 5. It had a big pullback in a sense, increase higher than it ever did when it split. So absolutely, there's some compounding interest with the split. And you also have just the ease of how low Tesla was back in the day. Yeah, man, it's quite incredible. But it gives people an opportunity to buy shares of companies that they use every day. Netflix, up 135% in the last year and a half. Netflix, right? Nothing exciting, exceptional, or amazing, but you would have doubled your investment. Double. Like that is a crazy number in the last year and a half. So if you put $100,000 in Netflix, you have $200,000 now plus. That's amazing.
And I also want to touch on what you're talking about because could be someone listening going, well, I added $100,000, 6 figures to my income this year, and that's all well and good, and congrats. And most people don't. However, the way they're doing it is completely passive. It's not you working for it to do something and for X amount of time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever the case is. Investing is a passive strategy. So can you touch on that for us?
Oh, dude, 100%. So the passivity is you are buying and everyone knows this listening, I'm sure, but just in case, when you buy a stock, you are buying a share of a company. So you are literally sharing ownership of a corporation with other individuals. So when you buy shares of Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Tesla, Google, you own part of that company. You give them your money and they take your money and they hire people, they do research and development, they do marketing, they do advertising. they make more sales. As they make more sales, the revenue increases. The revenue increases, the stock price eventually increases most likely. And if the stock price increases enough, then, well, of course, you make money passively. So you're owning a business without any phone calls, clients, emails, email lists, returns, refunds, all those challenges that go into, having $1 million business, which I do have a few of those. And I realize the stress and the pressure that can initially cause, having a business that generates multiple millions of dollars of revenue a year. However, in trading, and the reason it's one of my favorite things, man, nothing can beat it. Nothing. And I love all of the streams of income. I love business. I love e-commerce. I love online. I love real estate. Nothing can beat the market, because I can take, or someone can take, or another individual can take $100 million, make 10%, boom, you made $10 million, sell, and no one even noticed you were there. Wouldn't even be a blip on the radar. No phone call, no email, no lawyer, no paperwork, nothing. In, out, boom, done. And you can walk away in a week, month, a quarter, right? Some of these companies are just moving so astronomically and so beautifully that this is easy.
For someone that is on the fence about it, or going, I've done some small stuff, I want to do bigger stuff, where do you recommend that they start?
My recommendation, honestly, man, is start with a company that you use, understand, love the product, know the product. You interact with a company very frequently. So some more names: Home Depot, Lowe's, Starbucks, Nike, Under Armour, Disney, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, right? Spend some money on some shares and some companies that you know. One of my favorite sayings is, concentrate to get rich, diversify to stay wealthy. So very frequently, individuals will far overcomplicate their investment strategy because they think that you have to be the smartest person in the room and pick the one stock that no one's ever heard of and it goes up 500%. Tesla's up 1,300% in the last 2 years, right? So you don't have to pick the most radically crazy company of all time. You just have to pick a company and have to be in it for a while, right? Shopify is up an astronomical, like 1,000% in the last 2 years. Square is up 700% in the last 2 years. And these are companies that all of your people probably use, right? Your listeners, my fan base, your fan base, we use Shopify. Dude, Wix, right? Who doesn't know and have a business or a website on the Wix? Wix is up 400% in the last 3 years. Buy companies that you use, that you understand, that you know their product. You already spend money with them anyway. Get some of that money back by being an owner, not just an investor or consumer.
I've heard that before too. So it sounds like you're reiterating it with invest in stuff you're familiar with. Don't just randomly pick something just because it sounds fun or sexy. Have at least some common sense and know what they're about.
Bingo. At least at the onset, like when you start the process, because the more you learn and the more you study, the faster you can become. Some quick second grade math for all of your listeners: 1,000 shares, right? If a stock goes up $2, you make $2,000. Right? You have 1,000 shares. If it goes up $2, you just made $2,000. You can do that on anything. It can be Amazon or it can be fuel cell, right? It doesn't matter what the stock is. You buy 1,000 shares, goes up $2, boom, you make $2,000. And for a lot of people, you could pull that money out and you can go pay an assistant. You could hire a meal prepping service. You could hire a full-time driver for a month that drives you around from place to place so you don't have to drive anymore, or you can get a Tesla that drives for you. Or you can do all kinds of things with that $2,000, but you're buying an asset, right? You're allowing the market to be a cash flow generation machine. And it really is and can be just that if you think about it that way.
That's amazing, because I think a lot of people are looking for that, what's that one thing no one's ever heard of? Yeah. I want to get in on the ground floor before anyone. Mm-hmm. But that example, you go 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 shares of pretty much anything. It only has to go up a little bit. And then you can exit, and then you do it with something else.
Dude, you're absolutely 100% correct, man.
Now, what if you want to do a long-term strategy? So what's the short-term strategy? Like, the thing that just came to mind is, people like to buy stuff, and depending on the season, they may be shopping more. I think people are so consumer-driven nowadays. It's like there's always a busy season. I used to work at Best Buy back in let's say a few years ago, and I remember it was like there was seasons, and now it's like if you don't see the Amazon truck going down 3-4 times in your neighborhood, like every day, it's like, what's going on here? So, but the point is, when it's a new year, gyms generally get more memberships. When it's the summer, people are probably buying shorts and boating stuff and sandals and stuff like that. So again, you don't need to be a rocket surgeon to go, all right, what's that thing on the spaceship, that new metal that they found for the heat shield? Like, no, it's like, it's,
Precisely.
you know, it's March, summer's around the corner, maybe get some stock and sand. I don't know. You know, it's the fall, let's get something for the Christmas rush or the New Year's. It's summer, let's get stuff for, you know, the fall coming up. It's, you know, department stores do this, fashion shows do this with the fall collections, the winter collection, and it's always 2-3 months ahead. You can predict a lot of this stuff if you're not looking for that long-term big thing.
You're speaking my language. I'm going to give you a stock market quiz, Mario. You ready? Easy. I think you're going to pass.
Okay. I hope.
Do you know, are you familiar with the company Wayfair?
Yeah.
Okay. So after COVID, Wayfair stock price went up 1,000%. Why?
People are so used to online shopping and they didn't want to be around people.
Exactly. So what were they doing with Wayfair?
Buying the stock because they could buy it online and have it shipped. Just like those meal prep and the delivery services. And I think one of the benefits was people go, oh, we can do 99% of this without the interaction. I didn't really like it to begin with. Let's just have it delivered. DoorDash.
Oh, man. There you go. Right. Because they're at home because of COVID, because of whatever situation might have happened. They still have to work. They still have to get things done. So just like you mentioned, they go to wayfair.com and they buy all of their office equipment, all of their desks and, you know, cool cat calendars. They buy them on Wayfair. But if you have let's say 100 million people, okay, conservative number, 100 million people spend $60 on Wayfair. $6 billion of revenue.
It's not a bad
like,
day.
Hello. So stock price goes up 1,000%. So yeah, man, it doesn't have to be like the most, oh, this is a new radar detector that will beam down neurons from space and make you lose weight. It's like, no, dude, it could just be the most basic thing. Crocs. You know those amazingly ugly shoes that really, really weird people wear in the South? Kind of kidding. I don't have any Crocs, but I get the appeal. So the shoe company Crocs has gone up 300% in the last year. And that's because people are staying home more. They don't have to go into the office. They buy some Crocs, right? They're easy, they're quick, they're fast, they're efficient. I mean, it sounds like, oh, wow, that's so simple. But it's like, man, those are all over the place. Lululemon is up just an astronomical return in the last 4 years.
Everyone wants to be comfy.
Everyone wants to be comfy, and they make great, great clothes. I do have a pair of Lulus, and they're nice, right? So guy Lulus, girls, they have an amazing return policy. I think it's like if it ever breaks and you don't like it, just return it. They'll give another one for free. It's like the most incredible return policy. Their stores are nice. The customer service is pretty okay. You have all these opportunities.
That's what everyone strives for. The customer service is pretty okay.
Customer service, okay. They just, when you're going through a business acquisition or you're going through your marketing, you're going through all the stress that you have as a business owner, make the investment easy, right? Look at what you're using, sit down, analyze what you buy, what you use, what you like, where you eat, right? Chipotle, for example, publicly traded. I mean, all this, the world is controlled by the stock market, but very, very few people participate in it because they are afraid and they have some random, awful, limiting belief. Like, I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge.
It brings me to your perfect segue into my question about fear and greed. You mentioned fear earlier. People are afraid of it, and now you're talking about it again. Where does the greed come into play, and where does the fear come into play, and how do you not do either?
So fear generally just comes from understanding, right? We were all once afraid of driving a vehicle. We probably were excited about it, but sitting in front of the car, holding the steering wheel, we had a little bit of fear because we're like, oh, what if I crash? What if something happens? Forward 3 years from now, we're shaving, eating a hamburger, and like putting our shoe on while we're driving. So that fear is generally removed through understanding and through knowledge and through application of that knowledge. Greed, on the other hand, this is one of my just like personal humanistic philosophies. I don't think the stock market is controlled by greed. I think it's controlled by optimism. The reason I say that, most of the individuals that I work with, most of my clients, Mario, they are people who want to spend more time with their family. They want to give more to their church. They want to give more to their communities. They want to donate more, give more, live more. That's literally the opposite of greed, right? Greed is a state of the soul. The more money you make, the less happy you are. You can never have enough, never be quenched, never be happy, never be satisfied. That's the definition of greed. Most of the investors that I work with, like 99.9999%, might think they're greedy, but they're really not. And the crazy like trading psychology piece of that is, if you truly think that you're going to be greedy by making more money, you will self-sabotage, because no one wants to inherently be greedy or be labeled as greedy or be called greedy. So you will end up losing most of your profits or giving it all away, and you'll stay around this mediocre break-even level. But if you truly know that money is an expansion heart, money is a tool that expands your heart, and it gives you the opportunity to pour in and to help others. Going back to that Forrest Gump example, my brother, what he did after we don't have to worry about money anymore. A lot of people forget this, but he ended up building a school. He built a hospital. He built a church, and he took Bubba's mom out of her old job and retired her forever. So when you're talking about money and the things it can do, it's like, I don't think that's greed. Like, Forrest Gump wasn't greedy. He made all this money and built a hospital. That's not greed.
Let's talk about that, because you're touching on something that I think most people don't talk about enough. Everyone knows you should invest in the stock market, and I appreciate everything you've shared. Whether they do it or not is another thing. But you talked on the subconscious psychology, and this is fun because I've experienced this in the past as well, and I see it all over the place. It's like people, I want to be at that next level. I want to be at that next level, but it seems like they keep getting to it time after time, but never get past it. How did you, as you said yourself, you grew up poor. That was the first time you heard it at 6 about investing. How did you wrap your head around, I'm making 5 figures now, 6 figures, and 7? So you didn't self-sabotage yourself.
I gave a lot of it away. This is what that was. I've always wanted to give money away, man, because I grew up with just this belief that money can make people so happy and it can impact people so quickly. So for me, the meaning of living is giving. And one of my number one, like, really personality traits is just I'm a contributor. So I want to provide and contribute to other individuals. If you are at a spot where you are hitting your head against a plateau and you're like, I'm working, I'm grinding, and you're not growing, the reason you're not growing is because you're not giving. If you want to surpass that plateau of you're making $280,000 a year or $280,000 a month, and you're like, I can't get past this number, and you're in that for the last year and a half, you have to give more, because what it will do, my friend, is it will create, for all of your listeners and myself and you and everyone, it'll create different questions that will come into your mind, like, how can I get that money back? Or how can I help more people because that felt so good? I want to make even more money. Or who can I partner with? Or all the beautiful aspects that your brain will try to figure out. But here's the fantastic part. In every religious text that I've ever studied, right, all of them, they always mention, every text mentions at some point, the more you give, the more you receive. And it's a formula.
You reap what you sow.
That is, my man, it is lopsided, right? You put something in, you will always get more back. And it's one of those laws of the universe that we can't fully wrap our head around, but we don't have to. So if you are stuck, go give $1,000 cash tip to your next waitress, and I can almost guarantee you will get a business deal. Something will close. Something will happen in your life within a week of you doing that. If you do it from a true heart-centered place of love and happiness, man, your life will just become better overnight.
Well, it sounds like these are great problems, because you're talking about building churches and houses and all these things, and I think it's great. I'm in 150% agreement with you, because, you know, what's it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? You can't.
Speak it, brother.
what are you going to do? Cool. You got $100 billion. You're miserable. No one likes you. I mean, best case scenario, you have a couple friends, but you know what I mean? There's examples of people that have nothing and a lot, and it has to do with the person. But, what kind of problem is it when you go, oh, I built a school, a hospital, and you're just so torn up because you want to do 10 more?
Oh, man. It changes the whole outlook and the whole pace of your life, and it will change the way that you end up making money because you're going to be willing to partner with other people. And truly, as you likely know, when you start giving money away in larger sums, people start to notice you and they'll just start to reach out and things will just start to happen in a way that you might not understand, but it's okay. So I know it sounds wild and most people probably won't believe me initially, but if you try that, if you start giving money away and you start providing the value to people in a way that's substantial and kind of scary to you internally, everything will start to change for your life.
I love that you're talking about that because I've experienced it. I encourage others to do it. And it's always, I've never been at a point that you have to break through in whether they're clients or friends of mine, just people. I just like helping people. It's kind of how I started doing it. To me, it doesn't matter. If I can help you, I'm going to help you, whether it's business or not. But I've never coached someone through a step that they need to break through and it didn't come back to being a part of them. Oh, do I need to hire another person? You've got 27 already. I don't think hiring another one or two is the determining factor about breaking through. It's always something internal, and it's about them being more, not just doing more, from my experience.
Here's the best example I could possibly give you. I was in a program once with a woman, and it was called the Elevated Dreams Consciousness Program or something of that nature. I forget the exact title. And I was in it. And she asked, what is the meaning of life? Big question. Everyone's giving their answers. I'm like, stupid answers. I was being all egotistical. I was like, this is a dumb answer. I can't wait till she calls on me so I can give everyone the real answer that they're really looking for. So she calls on me and she says, so Jerremy, what to you is the meaning of life? And my answer at the time, Mario, was, it's all about the pursuit of happiness. So she looks me dead into my soul, like right into my soul, and goes, are you tired of pursuing? Are you ready to just be happy? Dog. I was like, this is a wrap. Like, this is it. Like, absolutely. So I did everything she said. I ended up marrying her.
No kidding.
She transformed my life in such a radical way. And now she continues to do it every single day. But it was one of those moments, man, that was so impactful for me because it stopped me in my tracks. So hardcore, because a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs and business owners, we're achieving, we're striving after, we're chasing, we're trying to get more money, more time, more magic. But if we, like you mentioned, the reason I'm bringing this up is it's internal. Turn the mirror around and look deep inside of us, because money only solves your money problems. And it always will solve all of your money problems. But once you make over $100,000 a year, you don't have money problems anymore. You either have money management problems or you have self problems. And figuring those things out and making those tiny shifts, those micro magical mental adjustments, is what will cause the game to change for you.
That is an expert authority effect insight. That is powerful. Thank you for touching on that. I have to ask you, there is so much I want to ask you. This is phenomenal already. Out of all, who's your biggest transformation success story out of everyone you've helped?
Oh,
yeah, I'm sure you have to narrow it down from one to the thousands, but
yeah, man, it's a great challenge to have. Was a phenomenal question. The very first person that comes to mind, almost without a doubt, anytime I hear this question, is a gentleman by the name of Scott. And I was just with Scott on an island in the Turks and Caicos. We had an event called Money Grows on Trees, which is the name of my book. And every year we have an event where everyone gets together. We just talk about money and money consciousness for 4 or 5 days, and just how we can, not just everyone there, but me, like how we can all grow together. We could give more, live more, all those fun things. Man, Scott's life, like 4 to 5 years ago, his wife died of cancer. He got fired from his job. His son was in rehab for drug overdose, and he was just a shell of a man. He wasn't happy. He had $500,000 to his name, no purpose in life, nothing. He came to me broken and beat down without knowing anything what to do. And I was not the person who helped him at all. I was just a guide. I was walking alongside of him. I took a mirror and turned it around and showed him how great he was. And so him and I took proper steps together in both trading, right? Obviously, we helped him because with $500,000 and he's fired. He was also in his late 50s. So it's very hard for him to get a new job now. He had been working 22 years at this particular job, got laid off. He had $500,000 to his name. Me and you both know that's not going to last him and his kid and potentially his grandkids in the next 50 years of his life. So he had to learn how to grow that. So we talked trading, we talked markets, we talked strategies. He came to Nashville, worked with me for a week, and his life changed in such a dramatic way. When you see him now, he was an asshole, and he told everyone he just wasn't the happiest person to be around at all. He was kind of a mean-hearted Scrooge McDuck kind of guy. But going forward, man, he's just a beam of light. And it was all because he realized all the fears, all the challenges, all the frustrations that he had in his life were because of his internal compass and the thoughts that he created internally. So we just had to change those, mix those around. And yeah, making more money for him helped a lot. But it was one of those situations where it gave him confidence and it gave him the belief in himself that he can achieve whatever he wants.
Wow. So it's not just about the money. I mean, that sounds like you changed everything around.
Yeah, exactly, man. Money, when you have a skill set that you can create money sitting down in front of a computer in minutes or hours, and it's easy and it's simplistic, that will change something in your life. It'll change your priorities. It'll change what you truly care about, what you spend the most time on. It will ratify so many other areas of your life. But again, it will remove, I don't have any money problems now. What is it that I want to focus on? And that's the key. Once you don't have any money problems, now you can start focusing on the stuff that really matters.
That's exciting. That's very exciting.
Heck yeah.
I am very thankful for this and everything you've been sharing so far. I have something I was going to ask you earlier, but I'm going to ask you now because there's only a few people in the world I've ever shared it with, but you seem like you'd understand it and everything, so I'm going to use it for this. You do have to pick yellow or black, though.
Yellow.
All right. This is interesting. It's the wheel of whatever. I spin it and ask people random questions. Usually they're off the wall. This one, you're getting a serious one. Okay. It used to be people would pick yellow and black, black, yellow, yellow. Everyone has been picking yellow lately. Maybe I'm exuding more sunshine or something, but literally, it's been yellow, nonstop. So... But it's good because it's a positive question. Like I said, I've never really shared this with anyone, and it goes back about 20 years. There's only a few people I've ever even shared, but I'm going to spin it into a question to provoke thought.
Okay. Love it.
We've been talking about money the whole time and what people can do with it. If you're greedy, you're going to do bad things. If you're good, you're going to do good things. Now, this might not be a stretch for you, but I think it will be for a lot of people, but the second part will be. What do you think the world would look like if everyone could live on only $1 million a month?
Is that the whole question?
Yes.
Love it. Wow. They could only live on $1 million a month. $1 million what? US dollars, I'm assuming?
Yes.
I think people would be super creative and they would be able to explore incredible passions. And I'm not going to go down the economic route of, it obviously means there's hyperinflation. I'm just going to go with the purest, I'm 6 years old, I'm in school, and a teacher asked me this question, because that's, when you ask a kid this question, that's how they're going to answer it, is like a beautiful, flowery, it's like a candy bar is not going to cost $400,000, right? So everyone lives on $1 million. People are going to experience and be able to truly tap into their ultimate desires and passions and what they care the most about. So everyone's going to be helping, everyone's going to be volunteering, everyone's going to be massively creative. Either they're going to be musicians, book writers, artists, podcasters. They're going to be doing the things that bring them ultimate joy every single day. And now they get to pick what they want to do. I saw a gentleman on TikTok, and I've donated to his cause. Literally, all he does for fun and like his main gig is he TikToks himself walking around and cleaning up absolute disasters. So houses, streams, creeks, forests, sidewalks that are just covered in trash. He goes around with a camera and a bunch of trash bags and films himself and like time lapses it and just shows everyone and puts it on TikTok. Like that's how he makes his money. Phenomenal. I love it. That's so cool. People will be doing that. People will be walking around every day with their dogs, right? We would be painting, we'd be singing, we would be making music. The creative space would go absolutely out the wazoo. And I think that could happen in the future, regardless if a version of universal basic income happens, or some version of where money becomes so easy because of robotic AI or robotic intelligence that we don't have to work as many manual jobs as we have. And so right now, people have to do different things. Hope that helps.
What if we taught entrepreneurship more at an earlier age?
There's two streams of thought there. Let's say we go back to the fourth grade where you're starting to teach and learn math. Susie has 5 apples and she gives 3 apples away. How many apples does she have? Susie has 5 businesses and she sells 3 businesses. How many businesses does Susie have? Same answer, 2 totally different mindsets, right? One comes from lack. I mean, hell, Susie has 2 apples, right? Like she's poor and hungry. But Susie over here has businesses. She's built them. She's created structure and substance and jobs and employment for other people. And she sold them, which means she brought in tons of revenue. Entrepreneurship, course, class, program, independent finance, stock market, this is a requirement. It should be a mandatory application in all U.S. schools, public, private, and charter across the Americas without question.
Love that. And love the answer to the first one. What if I throw a caveat on the end for the $1 million a month? You can't donate any of it. You have to keep it for yourself. You can't be charitable with it. Do you think people would inherently be doing worse stuff, or you think they'd just be buying a lot more food and clothes?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people are inherently greedy. Again, there'll be some people that will be, but a lot of
you really think it's more they're living out of lack and survivor nature, and scarcity kicks in.
Yes. Yeah. Again, that's my version of life. That's my
I don't disagree.
Goggles. Yeah, that's my
I can point to real life examples of a lot of celebrities who grew up one way, changed it around. It's not like they're selling drugs and shooting people anymore, or whatever else bad thing they were doing.
Precisely. I think you have to do things to succeed and to survive. And if you don't have to do those things that are generally and oftentimes quick, fast, and malicious, and you can do things that are just purely from your good of your heart, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to give it away, but you don't have to spend time hurting or harming or damaging other things to receive something. A whole different mindset comes into play.
So I'm going to throw the caveat on because this is the part I generally don't share with people, but I feel you'll appreciate it. The $1 million a month came from giving away the other $99 million a month.
Love it.
So that's where you can't donate or anything. Like the $1 million a month is yours.
So cool.
But you're making $100 million a month.
So cool.
And
that's a brain expansion question, my friend, because when you're starting to talk about all that, like people generally wouldn't know how great humanity is until you can remove the struggle away from their life. Then you can start to see that the vast majority of humans just want to have fun. They want to hang out with their family, right? Everybody wants to pour in light, love, and happiness into the world. And give them that opportunity, the majority of them will.
Do you think we'd surpass what we did in World War II after the war?
Oh, absolutely.
I know that was one of the biggest economic booms like ever anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see that. We will see that again. I think right now we're almost seeing it now. I mean, the last 10 years have been so prolifically fantastic for most individuals who own assets really of any kind. Real estate, stocks, cryptocurrencies, that it's quite fantastic. And I think that we have a while left to go to continue writing this up. Obviously, there will be downs, but surf the waves, learn how to surf, and have a good time.
Excellent. Well, we are going to thank our sponsor, and we'll come back for the Imperfect Action Round. You've heard me say every business needs a book, including yours, and it's true. And that's why I'm launching my new book at eapublishingmethodbook.com, so you can learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. Take it from a few of my authors, like Lori.
And I went from having an idea and a possibility to actually getting my book published.
Or Catherine.
Thank you for making my mom #1 best-selling author.
Or Mary Alice.
What he got done for me in 3 days regarding my book launch, unmanageable.
John Cody.
I've worked with Mario over the phone and online, and he's been very helpful in getting me where I needed to go with promoting my books.
Rocio.
There's no way in the world I would have been able to do this with somebody else. I've attempted it in the past. It didn't serve me. As a matter of fact, I ended up more frustrated than anything. So this has been a very seamless process.
Adele.
If you're looking for an amazing business coach, I highly recommend Mario Ficini.
Or Bill Benner.
I can't make a higher recommendation than to work with Mario Ficini. He has been great for me, and right now I won't work with anybody else except for Mario.
Hey, their words, not mine. Visit eapublishingmethodbook.com to get your copy, and I look forward to hearing your transformation as our next video success story. Once again, that's eapublishingmethodbook.com. And we are back with the Imperfect Action Round. Are you ready to take imperfect action?
Let's do it.
All right, I got 3 questions for you. Rapid fire answers, 60 seconds or less. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Sales.
Ooh, why?
If you want to make $1 million, give 1 million people a product they need. Sales is in my opinion, the absolute quickest way to generate something from nothing, is provide a value. Case in point, blackberries, right? I sold for $1 a bag. They weren't even my blackberries. I picked them from some random bush, and sold them, but I created that value transaction, and therefore I received money. And that was a very, very quick, very immediate thing. I think people can do that all around the world.
Good profit margin too. Yeah. No cost of goods sold.
Nope.
I've done it too. It's nice when you can get away with that when you're young. All right. Number 2, what's the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
I think my biggest problem that my prospects face is oftentimes impulsivity. So becoming very eager to make extreme money very, very fast. Because once they open their eyes to the speed and the liquidity of the markets, that's one of the very quick, very most immediate urges that happen. And the way to fix that is to get coaching, work with some individuals who can help you and create rules and structures around you, your plan, so that you know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and you can take appropriate action at the right time.
Very good. Number 3, what is the fastest way? Oh, I'm sorry. What's the fastest way to maximize customer lifetime value? Or the best way?
The best way is in-person engagement. So in person, spending time with your clients, trying to figure out a very fantastic, incredible experience that they'll remember for the rest of their life. Because if you can create an experience in a moment and something that truly transcends and helps their day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month life become better, they will stay with you forever, or at least for a very, very long period of time. And that's one of the things I've tried my absolute best to focus on, is in-person experiences, even through the whole COVID situation, where I'm able to pour in and impact people in a physical state where their whole mind, body, and spirit can shift and alter and create a whole different level of consciousness and awareness.
That's fantastic. I think people are getting away with that, especially with all the robotics and AI. I mean, 20 years ago, email marketing, I don't need to talk to anyone or do anything. I can send them an email. It's efficient. It's cheap. Well, people realize you're treating them like a transaction now. And
correct. 100%.
I think it's just worse nowadays.
Yep.
Well, with what I do with publishing, I'm always encouraged. I believe every business needs a book, including yours, and you have one. Tell us about Money Grows on Trees, and why did you decide to write it?
Yeah, man. So Money Grows on Trees is kind of my story into the mental shift that I had to make to really change my life from becoming moderately okay to extremely wealthy. And I want to help other individuals make those shifts internally. The reason I wrote it is because it really called to me. I mean, I wrote this so quickly. It was a phrase that I had never uttered out loud before until one particular meeting with a client. His name was Nicholas. And I said the words out loud, money does grow on trees. And then I had to explain to him why that was the truth. And once I said that, I was like, I need to write a book on this, because I feel like so many people will be very, very familiar with the term money doesn't grow on trees, but which is a scarcity mindset. But we very rarely have ever sat down and thought through all of the false phrases, terms, beliefs, and popular sayings that probably are entirely incorrect, that we believe either consciously or subconsciously, and hold us back. Because like you, man, all I want to do is help other people grow and help them realize their true potential.
Well, I'm glad you did it, and I'm glad you're making it available to everyone, because you're one of the few people that I feel has the right heart, is doing the right things, and having the success to go along with it. Because I know there's people that are like, oh, I really like so-and-so, but you can tell they're struggling. And then there's other people, it's like they have all the money in the world, but they're missing the heart. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. I got a couple more questions, but I'm just really enjoying this. Speaking of books, what books would you recommend to Expert Authority World that have helped you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've made it my career and passion to, over the last decade, study money. That's been my focus. And I do that by reading any book that has the word money in the title. Now, it doesn't have to directly have money in the title. It could have money on the cover. Like Killing Sacred Cows, for example, by Garrett Gunnarsson. Phenomenal book. Great read. Doesn't have word money in the title, but it has money in the picture. You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero changed my life forever. She's amazing. She's inspiring, and it's just an incredible read. Great write. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Incredible. Money and the Meaning of Life by Jacob Needleman. Absolutely life-changing. So many great books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, it's a classic. Richest Man in Babylon. Millionaire Next Door. All of those are truly, I mean, they will open your eyes, because for me, every time I see a book, I envision each page as $100 bills. And I open the book and I go, let me try to find my $100 bill somewhere in here, because most books cost what, $10? So if I can get $100 value out of a $10 book, that's a great return on my investment.
Well, a great way to look at it too, and clearly it's worked. So thank you for sharing those. Where would you like people to learn more?
So hop over to my website if anyone's interested in learning more about trading or the stock market or how to navigate it. My website is called Real Life Trading, RealLifeTrading, reallifetrading.com. 99% of the content is entirely free. So you're welcome to go through it, watch it, enjoy it, take classes. It's not really a sales pitch when it's free. And just enjoy it, learn more about it, and really get a great grasp on something that very, very few people truly massively understand at a deep level.
Well, thank you for that. I'll make sure it's in the show notes, and it has been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, Mario. Thank you so much for having me, man.
The pleasure is mine, and I can't wait to continue this conversation. I know we're going to do great stuff stuff together for the future.
Likewise.
All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate qualified leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With my new book, The Expert Authority Effect Publishing Method, I take you through my process step by step. Visit eapublishingmethodbook.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Visit eapublishingmethodbook.com to get started now. Once again, that's eapublishingmethodbook.com. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I would love to know what you enjoyed most from it. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to connect with me on my new LinkedIn. You can go to it directly at eainterviews.com/LinkedIn. Once again, that's eainterviews.com/LinkedIn. Lastly, check out the full eainterviews.com site for complete show notes, the full interview video experience, links to the resources we mentioned, and more. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next one.